I want to take you on something that you said recently. You said Nigeria is suffering from a failure of the elite. What does that mean?
Elite, people of privilege, have a duty to set the tone of how that society travels to a preferred destination. Some elite have done a pretty decent job of it. Others have been disastrous at that. In fact, I just received a text message from a friend of mine who's a Nobel Prize winning economist who likes to talk about this point, that many countries don't go where they should be going because their elite don't do what they should do.
What are they supposed to do?
Look, they are supposed to think. Right now, they're not thinking. That's the truth about the Nigerian elite. It's not thinking. It's letting itself get carried away by all kinds of petty emotions, which people who are scrambling to find power usually throw up. Nigerian elites are not in rational conversation. They're in all kinds of cheap stuff like, what village do you come from? What religion do you, ask? Such nonsense that never gets anybody anywhere, really. And that's what's kept Nigeria down.
Are you considered part of Nigeria's elite?
I am, yes, clearly.
So,
but you got to have people who are
what example,
outliers.
Yes. What example, Prof, can other elites take from yourself? Because it does seem like you may be towing the direction that you wish other elites, such as yourself, would tow.
Well, first of all, put your country first, not yourself. The selfishness, the weakness in the Nigerian elite is this self-serving nature, me, myself, and I. And when they see you pull back from, short-term thinking about self, and I can give an example. I even wrote a book around it. A friend of mine, Ben Murray Bruce, well-known former senator and all of that, came to visit me many years ago, I think 2009. And Ben said to me, "Boy, why do you hate money?" I said, "Me? Hate money? Professor of entrepreneurship? How can I hate money?" He said, No. Everybody, says it about you. Look at all the people you are helping. They're all tycoons, and you just live so modestly. I said, maybe what gives me satisfaction is not the kind of cars they drive. In fact, I look at the cars they drive and feel contemptuous because I know that they could have invested those things differently if they really earned it. The truth is, most of them didn't earn it. Nothing against driving fancy cars. As a capitalist, you invest, you make money, you're entitled to doing whatever you want, with the gains. But if you think that society requires better thinking for everybody, because if you keep taking whatever you make to yourself, one day you will be a lunch for somebody who cannot find something to eat. The worst part is their cowardice. They can't speak truth to power. They can't speak truth to reality. This kind of silliness, is what Nigerian elite has really come to be known for. And that's why our country is not making progress. A great deal of the Nigerian elite are people who are waiting to see the thing happen so they can then jump on the bandwagon. They don't realize that they have to do something for that great escape from misery to take place. They have to sacrifice for it to happen. They just want to take what they can grab, live in their comfort zones, and call people like Utomi names.
Imagine you have Bola Tinubu, Godswill Akpabio, Wike, Uzodimma, Yahaya Bello, and maybe Monday Okpebolo of Edo State. Imagine you have these folks sitting in one room together. In that picture in your mind, right? What sort of conversation do you think they'll be having? What kind of thinking do you think will come out of that sit down between these guys that I just mentioned? Tinubu, Akpabio, Wike, Okpebolo, Uzodimma, and maybe three in the mix, Adam Oshiomhole. What do you think will come out of that conversation? Do you think it will be anything strategic for the national growth? Do you think it will be anything that will lift Nigeria out of poverty? Do you think it's anything that would solve security issues in our country? No. What you'll find in conversations like that will be who is now defected to the APC that Akpabio can uh, um, dance for and sing Bola Tinubu's mandate. Who's defecting to the APC that Oshomele will say their sins are forgiven? How much money the other person has stolen, like Yahaya Bello? Who is INEC going to be, rigging election for that the court would have to append, like they did with Monday Okpebolo, as a legitimate winner? That's the kind of people you will have sitting in a room, and you assume that Nigeria will be moving forward. I just paint that picture for you so you understand the calamity we have on our hands when we have these people, these Nigerian elites, like Patsomi said, they're not thinkers. They don't think. All they're thinking is how they will rig election. Their plans are, where are we going to rig election from? The permutation, the juxtaposing of which sort of emergency they will call for a governor that will not bend so that they can rig the election there, like they did with Rivers State. That's the kind of thinking we have with our politicians, not forward-thinking strategy. As a matter of fact, that conversation is a nexus of corruption, a linkage between how to steal from the people and how to show themselves braggadociously rich from the wealth of the people they've stolen. Our politicians, our Nigerian elites are self-serving. That sort of conversation I just mentioned, this picture that I painted in your mind, is one that typifies how our politicians sit down together, gather together, and plan on how to steal money. If you have a politician like Akpabio, who's accused of stealing a whole lot, or Yahaya Bello, or as I mentioned, you have Wike in the mix of it, telling Bola Tinubu the same thing, oh, don't worry, I'll still keep causing conviction in the PDP so that you can win in 2027. That's the picture you should have at the back of your mind. When you see these politicians, some of you who are in the comment section, praising and talking about how powerful they are, they're only as powerful because you allow them to be. So when Patutomi says our politicians don't think, our elites don't think, they're not thinkers. Because if they sat down and they thought about things, they'll begin to attract the right people who can actually start putting things together. There will be a linkage, a relationship of the people, the ideas, and the events that we need to put together to bring Nigeria to the level we want it to be. But when you have politicians like this, who will do everything possible to make sure that they rig election in 2027, imagine you then put the INEC chairman in the mix of that conversation. It's the icing on the cake, isn't it? This is the kind of conversations our politicians have in their private closet, in the middle of the night, on how to deliver a state by corruption to a president who has underperformed, woefully underperformed. And that's what Nigerian politicians and an elite are being known to around the world: corruption. If you look at our politicians, these are the people that I've mentioned. Would they be role models for your children? These people that I mentioned, would they be role models for your family? If you want to describe leadership, will these people be the names of the people you would name to be the leaders that Nigerians deserve? If that's your final thesis for a project, and they told you to name leaders, would Bola Tinubu be one of those people, or Akpabio, or Amechi, or Wike? Would they happen to be one of those people you will name? That's where we have our problem. So our politicians don't think they're cowards. The cowardice they show is in the corruption they perpetrate in the country. And when you try to speak up, they still use the same people to come and say, no, this man is working in the midst of his failures. Who praises failure and tell people to be patient? Exactly the same thing they did with Buhari at the time. Praised him so much. And now they're saying he failed the nation. And guess what? The university has been named after him. Nigeria rewards failure. Nigeria rewards corruption. Nigeria have leaders, elites, who are totally corrupt and known to be corrupt around the world. And that's the thing that we need to be at the back of our mind as we approach 2027. I say it all the time. This is the fight for the soul. We have to all speak up to make sure that when we get to that destination of 2027, there's no confusion. Will not be caught up in this ethnic conversation and tribal conversation and religious conversation. It will not be about which tribe should have power, which zone will have power, where what ideas, that nexus of ideas coming together, policies coming together of the people and the events to put them all together to make the country better. Well, that's the kind of person that we need. That's the kind of sublime, higher level conversation we should be having, not this mundane, lower level conversation of which tribe or now which governor or which politician is defecting to the APC. Or in Wike's report, I will continue to make sure that you win, Bola Tinubu. I will continue to cause distractions within the PDP, whilst others cause distraction within the Labour Party, and I'll foment trouble in ADC. All these plans just to give another person who has totally failed the opportunity to come back and be president again in 2027. This is the kind of thinking we should be concerned about. That's why I'm talking to you. But Utomi was spot on. The cowardice of Nigerian elite is something that is known around the world. Their self-serving nature and their nature and their selfishness. And now they steal and are corrupt and they buy expensive cars from public coffers. He's right. Nigerian elites are not thinking. They're not rational thinkers and they're not thinking rationally. All they're thinking is small talks. And our corruption will continue under their watch. Is that what you think when you see this picture I painted at the back of your mind? Is that what you think? Put that thought, put your comments in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and also subscribe. I will catch you up in the next video. God bless you. Bye-bye for now.